Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Brighton Town Board meeting for June 12th, 2024. I'm Bill Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor, and I'm pleased to have you here, whether you're in the room with us tonight or whether you are joining us remotely. In just a moment, we will be starting the open forum portion of the meeting. The open forum is the opportunity for members of the public to address the town board with questions, comments, concerns that you might have. I'll share some instructions on how the open forum works once we get there. But I will note that if you are watching us remotely, if you're live streaming on our YouTube channel, for example, and you want to participate either in the open forum or in the one public hearing we have tonight on a flood control local law, you'll have to log into the meeting on Zoom, and that will allow you to participate remotely. If you're not sure how to log into Zoom, we have instructions on the Town of Brighton webpage, which is www.townofbrighton.org. As we have for many years, we make our meetings accessible to the deaf and hard of hearing community with our ASL interpreters. Tonight, that's Anthony Bizzaro, you see right now, and Sarah Manaskis are our two interpreters tonight. Thank you both for making this meeting accessible. All of the materials that we will be relying on tonight, the proposed resolutions, the supporting materials, if you're here in the room, they're all on the table in the back of the room. If you're watching us remotely, all of those same materials are available on the Town of Brighton webpage. I do want to mention, because our town clerk, Dan Amon, can't be with us tonight, I will be calling the roll and recording the motions and the seconds. So please bear with me as I multitask a little bit this evening. We'll try to keep things running smoothly. I would ask that everyone please rise if you're able to do so. Rise in spirit. If you can't, we'll start the meeting with a pledge to the flag. Councilman Werner, if you'd lead us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Chris. We have three proclamations as a part of tonight's program. The first one is to recognize Pride. Now, most areas celebrate Pride this month in June, but Rochester has a tradition of celebrating Pride during July. And I understand that stems from the historical desire to allow community members to travel to other communities in June, particularly down to New York City, celebrate with Pride events that are being held out of town, and then come back here and celebrate Pride in Rochester in July. The good news over the years, what that's really meant is that Pride is not just a month, it's 2 months. Pride is celebrated and there are events in June and July here in the Rochester area. And in recognition of that practice, tonight the town board is issuing its proclamation for Pride and the recognition of the importance of Pride. We will be holding our own Pride activities in July, starting with the Pride flag raising ceremony right here in Town Hall on July 12th, Pride at the Farmers Market on July 14th, and both of those I think will be very nice ceremonies. And then on July 20th, the big attraction, the Pride Parade. The town of Brighton has now had a marching unit in the Pride Parade for a couple of years. We're very excited to be back this year. The Pride Parade is like no other parade. It's the best parade. It is so much fun to be there. And we invite not only our employees, our volunteer board members, our family, our friends, to join us in the Pride Parade on July 20th. So tonight, I offer this proclamation on behalf of the entire town board in support of Pride and in support of our entire LGBTQ+ community. Whereas, representing people from across all cultures, incomes, geographies, and religions, the LGBTQ+ community has helped people embrace who they are and love who they love, while pursuing legal protections and expanding civil rights for all. And whereas the LGBTQ+ community has worked tirelessly for respect, equity, and their very right to exist, and while remarkable progress has been made since Stonewall, the LGBTQ+ community has been singled out anew as some work to silence the community, eliminate or curtail basic human rights, and even erase the entire LGBTQ+ experience. Whereas this is a serious time for democracy and human rights in America, making the celebration of Pride especially important, so the voice of the LGBTQ+ community and their allies are heard and not silenced. Whereas a time of celebration and reflection, Pride reminds us to remain vigilant and continue to take action to advance the cause of equality for all members of the diverse LGBTQ+ community and for all Americans, especially in this contentious time as hard-won rights are under siege. And whereas the town of Brighton will celebrate Pride in many ways, with ceremonies at Town Hall and the Brighton Farmers Market, the display of the Brighton Pride flag, and town employees and others participating as a group in the Rochester Pride Parade. Now therefore be it proclaimed that I, William W. Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor, and the members of our Town Council do hereby commit to celebrating Pride in the town of Brighton and urge all residents to join us in this celebration, commit to working for equal rights for all, and to uphold the simple truth that equal rights are human rights. And this proclamation is signed this 12th day of June, 2024. On September 22, 1862, President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, mandating that all slaves in states that had taken up arms against the Union would be free on January 1, 1863. Now, of course, it took military action and control to enforce the Emancipation Proclamation, and the actual freedom of slaves in the South followed the advancement of the Union Army during and even after the end of the Civil War. On June 19, 1865, Major General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston, Texas, and issued a directive freeing the slaves in Galveston, based on the Emancipation Proclamation. The next year, on June 19, 1866, freed slaves in Galveston celebrated the first Jubilee Day, and over time, the celebrations of the Jubilee, the Emancipation, spread throughout Black communities in Texas and the South. Many years later, in the 1970s and 80s, activists like Opal Lee, known as the grandmother of Juneteenth, and so many others in private life and government service, pressed for recognition of Juneteenth as a holiday. And while over time individual states began to do so, it wasn't until June 17th, 2021, that Juneteenth became a federal holiday, when President Joe Biden signed legislation making Juneteenth a federal holiday, with Opal Lee, by the way, present for that signing. In Brighton, we're proud to celebrate Juneteenth, and I invite the entire community to Brighton Town Hall at noon on Friday for our Juneteenth flag raising and celebration, where we'll be honoring a true Rochester icon, Dr. Walter Cooper. I invite you also to join us at the Brighton Farmers Market this Sunday, June 16th, for a cultural celebration of Juneteenth. And I'll now read this proclamation. Whereas, on the eve of January 1, 1863, or Freedom's Eve, in anticipation of President Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation going into effect, enslaved and free African Americans gathered in homes and churches for the first watch night, anxiously awaiting the stroke of midnight to mark the end of the horror that was slavery. Whereas it was not until June 19, 1865, when 2,000 Union troops entered Galveston, Texas, that the last slaves in the former Confederate states were set free, and the Emancipation Proclamation was shared with all the occupants of this final outpost of slavery. Whereas free, but still seriously constrained socially and economically, the following celebration by freed slaves in Texas became an annual tradition for generations of descendants, and Juneteenth was spread across the country by African Americans moving in search of better opportunities. Whereas sometimes referred to as the nation's second Independence Day, Juneteenth became a national holiday in 2021 and is both a celebratory and a somber day as we celebrate African American freedom from slavery and gather to truthfully acknowledge a terrible period in U.S. history that continues to influence our society today. And whereas Juneteenth is a time for reflection and rejoicing, but also for assessment, self-improvement, and planning for the future, let us unite in our determination to join the ongoing struggle of African Americans to achieve equality in all facets of society so that we may live without fear and prosper in a country together, no longer divided along the ambiguous lines of race. Now therefore be it proclaimed that I, William W. Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor, and the members of our Town Council do hereby recognize June 19th, 2024 as Juneteenth in the town of Brighton, and we call upon all Brightonians to reject hate, repudiate racism, and promote Brighton's intentional culture of diversity, inclusion, and equity. And this proclamation is signed this 12th day of June, 2024. And our third and final proclamation tonight reflects the fact that June is Caribbean American Heritage Month. This month we celebrate the many accomplishments of people whose origins live in the many countries that border the Caribbean Sea or are islands in the Caribbean. The greater Rochester area has a large community of people whose lineage comes from the Caribbean region. People like my good friend Andre Langston, the owner of WDKX 103.9, one of the most successful, should I say the most successful, my apologies for that typo, the most successful independent radio station in the country, whose mother, the late Gloria Langston, was a native of Jamaica. Andre, I'd like you to come up and join me. I'd also like to invite Councilmember Wilt, whose family heritage is from Guyana in South America. And together we will read this proclamation. Whereas Caribbean American Heritage Month is observed to celebrate the achievements and dreams of the millions of people of Caribbean origin now living in the United States, and
whereas Caribbean American spirit, energy, and leadership are woven into the culture of the United States, starting with Alexander Hamilton, a founder of this country and the first Secretary of the Treasury, and
whereas tonight we honor the President and CEO of WDKX FM Radio, Andre Langston, whose Southern-born father, Andrew Langston, and Jamaican-born mother, Gloria Langston, created the first black-owned radio station in Rochester in 1974. And
whereas, a top radio station for 50 years, Andre Langston continues the legacy and vision of his parents through his partnerships with the city, Monroe County, elected officials, and the private and nonprofit leaders that help shape our community. And
whereas, Andre has been the voice of WDKX's audience favorite, the Saturday morning show, Memory Lane, and you know, don't get me started.
I know.
Where Andre and his guests discuss meaningful topics, including education, health, politics, and the state of Black America. And
whereas, this Caribbean son, an impressive Brightonian, has had a lasting positive impact on our community through his successful business, musical entertainment, quality of on-air dialogue, and his volunteer service on several boards.
now therefore be it proclaimed that I, William W. Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor, and
Robin Wilt, Town Council Member.
And all of the members of the Brighton Town Council do hereby recognize June as Caribbean American Heritage Month in the town of Brighton. And we congratulate Andre Langston on the 50th anniversary of WDKX and thank him for his strong and thoughtful leadership in this community. And this proclamation is signed this 12th day of June, 2024, by the members of the town board. Councilmember Corrado will be on her way. We'll get you this proclamation with all 5 of our signatures. But Andre, it's a pleasure to give this to you, and the podium is yours.
Well, first I'd like to do a quick promo because next Saturday, not this Saturday, next Saturday, DJ Bill will be on Memory Lane playing a half hour of Temptations because I know what he likes. First of all, I've got to say my mom's whole name, Gloria Millicent Langston. I'm proud to represent the Caribbean Heritage Month, American Heritage Month, but I was raised in Brooklyn by a proud Kingstonian, and I am a Jamaican. So I just wanted to make sure you know there would be no WDKX if it wasn't for GML. My mother was an integral part of making WDKX last, be what it is, and continuing what the mission statement of my dad was. Because like she told me before she passed, keep your dad's dream alive. So I would want to thank the town of Brighton. Thanks, Bill. Thanks, Marion, for getting me that email. Thanks, Robin. And thanks to my new friend, David. You're going to be on the air soon, Dave. Okay.
The short version of the story, and Andre's heard the long version, is that 45 years ago, by happenstance, I discovered Memory Lane on Saturday mornings, and I've been a fan ever since. So, okay, we will now continue to the open forum portion of our meeting. We hold this open forum at the start of every town board meeting. The open forum is an opportunity for members of the public to address the board concerning any matter relating to the town, whether or not it's an item on our agenda tonight. Although I will say, if you're here for the public hearing on the local law relating to flood damage prevention, and you would like your comments to be included in the record of that public hearing, I would encourage you to wait until we call that public hearing. But if you would like to speak during the open forum and you're here in person, please raise your hand when we start it. I'll call on you. Please come up to the podium to speak. I would ask you to state your name and your address, please. If you're participating in the meeting remotely, as I mentioned earlier, the only way we can let you in is from our Zoom meeting, so please join the meeting on Zoom. There are instructions for doing that on the town's webpage. Same thing, use the raised hand function on Zoom. You'll be admitted into the Zoom meeting. You'll be unmuted, and you will have the opportunity to speak. Now, I do ask any speakers during the open forum, whether in person or remote, as I said, to please state your name and address. Please limit your remarks to 3 minutes, and I'll give a 30-second warning before your time expires. We may not be able to answer a question. If you have a question for us, particularly if it relates to a matter that's not on our agenda this evening. But our goal here tonight and during the open forum we hold at every town board meeting is to give you the opportunity to share your thoughts, your feedback with us, and for us to be able to listen thoughtfully to your words. So please direct your remarks to the town board and not to the room or to other speakers. Please refrain from personal attacks and outbursts of any kind, including applause or boos or other similar disruption during the open forum, out of respect for the speakers and out of respect for the time of everyone that's here tonight. Also, out of respect for people in the room, we ask that you not display signs during the open forum. We will warn people if there are problems following any of these rules. Repeated failure to follow the rules may lead to your speaking being ended early or being asked to leave entirely, or even the termination of our open forum altogether, although I don't anticipate we'll need to do that. So I will now declare the open forum portion of our meeting to begin. Is there anyone here in the room that would like to address the town board during the open forum? And is there anyone on Zoom that would like to address the town board during the open forum? Hearing none, then we will continue with the agenda of tonight's meeting. And Chris, if you could move to approve the agenda.
Bill, I move to approve the agenda.
Second?
And I'm not going to say clerk. I'm sure I will at some point before the night's over. But I will call the roll. Councilmember Warner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman.
Aye.
Supervisor Maley. Aye. We have one public hearing tonight, as I mentioned earlier. This public hearing is on a proposed local law entitled A Local Law for Flood Damage Prevention. That's an update of an existing law that is required under our stormwater program. Again, if you would like to address the town board during this public hearing and you're watching us on Zoom, or you're watching us remotely but not on Zoom, please go to Zoom. We'll let people in the room speak first, and then we'll go to people that are here on Zoom. I have confirmed that the necessary legal notice was given to hold this public hearing, and therefore I declare this public hearing to be open. And I will invite Commissioner of Public Works Jim Sprague, who is with us remotely tonight. Jim, would you like to speak about this local law? And I see that you're still muted. I don't know if... There you go. Okay. Jim.
Good evening. This local law, or new local law, is actually not new. It is substantively the same law that we currently have. But the recent FEMA updates of the flood mapping, they changed the designations on the maps. And that's really the impetus for this new law, so we get the right map references into the law locally.
Thanks, Jim. And as I understand, we have until July 31st to take action on this law. So we are
Correct.
Planning on moving forward with it tonight. Anything else to share for the record on that?
No, really, that's the sum and substance of it.
Great. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Is there anyone in the room that would like to address the town board concerning this proposed local law? entitled A Local Law for Flood Damage Prevention. I don't see anyone. Is there anyone on the Zoom that would like to address the board? And again, I don't see anyone. So therefore, I declare the public hearing on this local law to be closed. And I'll ask Councilmember Warner for a motion, please.
Thank you, Bill. Yes, Bill, with respect to the proposed local law known as a local law for flood damage prevention, I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second?
Any discussion from the board? Hearing none, I will call the roll. Councilmember Warner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley? Aye. On to communications. We have one item of communications tonight. That is from the Monroe County Comptroller, Jennifer Cesario. It has the information on our first quarter of 2024 sales tax data. The town of Brighton, like other towns and villages in Monroe County, receives a portion of the sales tax collected by Monroe County on a quarterly basis based on a long-standing formula. Thank you very much, by the way. So this is the report on sales taxes for the first quarter of 2024. And I would note that while sales taxes are down somewhat in the first quarter as compared to the first quarter of 2023, the first quarter is not our busiest quarter of the year, and they certainly seem to be coming in at a rate that will more than support our 2024 budget estimates on sales tax, which are, if I recall, 5.45 million. Did I get that right, Earl?
Yes.
Okay. We're ahead of that pace, and we certainly hope we will stay ahead of that pace. Earl, anything you want to add on sales tax?
No, I believe that it was similar to last year, and we're hopeful that the second quarter will be higher than last year's second quarter, but, you know, again, we're watching it carefully.
Second quarter last year was a tough one, so hopefully it will be. Great. Can I have a motion to receive and file the communications? Robin?
I move that we receive and file communications.
Second.
Thank you, Nate. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call the motion, call the roll rather. Councilmember Warner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley? Aye. Committee reports, community services. Robin?
Thank you, Bill. The Community Services Committee has not met in the intervening time frame since our last town board meeting. I do have a few quick updates from our Parks and Recreation Department heads, however. From our Parks Department, no major updates other than this past week, the Parks Department has been busy installing the new playground at Brighton Town Park. The full installation should be done by tomorrow, and the final concrete pour should happen on Friday, barring any issues with the weather. And we want to thank you for your continued patience while we complete the installation, and we hope that you enjoy the new facilities.
Got some photos today. It's looking good. It's
I was
looking
going
good.
to try to sneak over there today, and I couldn't make it, but I'll get over there. In addition, planning continues for our annual July 4th celebration at Meridian Center Park. Then from our Recreation Department, Brighton Summer Camp and Program registration is now open for both Brighton residents and non-residents alike. Full summer program details are available online at the Recreation website. That is www.townofbrighton.org/rec, R-E-C. Our Brighton Farmers Market is open on Sundays at the Brighton High School parking lot, 2100 Whitten Road South, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. No early birds, please. Join us and explore all the wonders of the season. And we want to remind everyone that SNAP and EBT benefits are welcome at the Brighton Farmers Market. The Bands at Buckland Summer Concert Series will begin on Tuesday, July 9th with our own Brighton Symphony Orchestra kicking off the season and continue each Tuesday through August 13th. Bring a blanket or lawn chair, your dinner, and come enjoy performances in the pavilion at Buckland Park, 1341 Westfall Road. Performances include music that will get you up and moving. Concerts are free to the public and handicap accessible. Restrooms and concessions will be available, so join us every Tuesday for 6 great weeks of musical arts. Want to remind everybody about our Brighton Senior Lunches out and about. Check out our monthly calendar and join us on a lunch out and about in the community. The locations change, but we always have a good time with friends enjoying food and sometimes lively entertainment. Full details on all Brighton Recreation and Brighton Senior offerings are again available online at www.townofbrighton.org/rec. Other fun upcoming programs from our Recreation Department include Mat Pilates, Groove Fitness, Flag Football, Music and Moving, Fairy Tale Fun, and so much more. The next meeting of the Community Services Committee is next Tuesday, June 18th at 9:30 a.m. or immediately following our Finance and Administrative Services Committee meeting at the Brighton Town Hall Main Auditorium here at 2300 Elmwood Avenue. So please do note the change in time and location, and as always, members of the public are welcome and encouraged to attend.
Thanks, Robin. Yeah, the change of time, of course, normally we would be meeting on Wednesday, but Wednesday is Juneteenth, so that meeting will be moved up to Tuesday. Finance, Nate.
Thanks, Bill. The Finance Committee last met on June 5th. Most of what we talked about is on tonight's agenda, but the only item I'll highlight, Bill, and you may want to elaborate on this, is our CHIPS funding. So New York State recently adopted our 2024-2025 budget, and the good news for the town of Brighton is that the CHIPS funding, which is the Extreme Winter Recovery, the Pave New York, the POP budget, which is the Pave Our Potholes budget, actually exceeds our estimate, which means we have more money, almost $40,000 more money to spend on road maintenance, which is good news for everybody who doesn't like to hit a pothole this spring and summer in our budget. So that is a little bit of good news. The rest of what we talked about is on tonight's budget.
Thanks, Nate.
Tonight's agenda.
No worries, no worries. Public safety, Chris.
Bill, excuse me, Public Safety Committee met yesterday. We had a report from Brighton Ambulance. Their monthly calls were totaled, May monthly calls totaled 672, year-to-date 3,424. Brighton Fire Department reported that they had 1,044 calls year-to-date, I believe, but nothing of significance. The fire department participated in several safety education events, the neighborhood parades, school events, and the bike rodeo. And thanks to the Henrietta Fire Department, they assisted in covering the Diverging Diamond resurfacing project and helped with redirecting people around that intersection. And it was completed quite quickly. They also have they continue to recruit new members, with 5 new members joining these past 2 months. Jim Sprague was unable to attend, so we had no report from the DPW. Police Department had calls for service to the end of May of 21,358. The citizen interview panel interviewed a new transfer candidate, and we'll start that hiring process soon. Lieutenant Laubacher graduated from the FBI National Academy, session number 290. And she's our first female officer to graduate that FBI Academy. Congratulations to Lieutenant Laubacher. The bike rodeo was held June 9th, and it was very well attended by about 40 children. Got free bike helmets, and several bikes were raffled off, as donated by the Summit Federal Credit Union and Elmer's Garage. Thanks very much for that. And Stefan Behenye-Tonye starts the police academy as a new recruit.
Yesterday, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
On the 12th, no, today, I believe.
Today, okay.
Henrietta Fire District reported that they had calls in West Brighton year-to-date of 346 and no calls of significance in West Brighton. We had an extended discussion of the proposed local law to amend Chapter 113 of the Town Code with respect to demonstrations and special events in town parks. And we had a lengthy discussion, and a number of new cases were directed to council for further research and report, and we'll have further discussions of that upcoming.
And the public hearing on that will be at our next board meeting.
Thank you, Bill. The next meeting of the Public Safety Committee will be Tuesday, June 9th at 0800 hours.
Thanks, Chris. Christine.
Public Works Committee did not meet yesterday as previously scheduled due to illness among staff. We will reconvene on Tuesday, June 9th at 9 o'clock or following public safety.
July 9th.
July 9th. July 9th. Where are these months coming? Halfway through the year already. Yes, Tuesday, July 9th, following public safety, 9 a.m.
Thanks, Christine. We have no old business, new business. Reading and approval of claims. Nate.
Bill, earlier today, I reviewed claims totaling $826,182.29. The claims all appear to be in order, and I move for them to be approved.
Second?
Any discussion? Hearing none? No. I knew I'd do it. I knew I'd do it. I will call the roll. Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
And Councilmember Salzman.
Aye.
Supervisor Maley. Aye. Christine, the next item, please.
The next item seeks to authorize the supervisor to enter into an agreement with Ravi Engineering to provide a wetland delineation for the proposed Buckland Park Farmers Market gravel parking area in an amount not to exceed $4,690, and to authorize the supervisor to execute any necessary change orders not to exceed 10% of the contract price herein. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
A little explanation. Earlier this year, the school district agreed, they had a successful referendum, and they have plans to expand their Brighton High School parking lot into land that they recently purchased from the 12 Corners Presbyterian Church. As part of that, they proposed to move the entrance driveway into that parking lot to be across the street from Newton. And they will be requesting the county, because Winton is a county road, they'll be asking the county to put in a traffic signal there. And that's something that the town of Brighton supports. I think it will be a good thing for safety. However, the expectation is that that will necessitate work in the parking lot next summer after school gets out for the year, which will make it impossible for the town of Brighton to, at least during the summer, to hold the Brighton Farmers Market in the high school parking lot. So what we're doing with this is planning ahead, anticipating that we will move the summer Brighton Farmers Market out to Westfall Road, out to the barn, the location of our winter market. Now, obviously, the summer market is a lot bigger than the winter market. We'll have vendors probably outdoors and indoors, but most importantly, we're going to have more parking needs out there. So what we will be doing, this delineation of wetlands, is to determine where we can put gravel in. We're not going to pave them. We're going to put in gravel parking lots to greatly expand the area that cars can park, but we can't intrude on wetlands in doing that. So this contract authorizes Ravi Engineering to delineate where exactly those wetlands are. We know there are wetlands out there, so this will make it precise. So that's the plan in the short term, relatively short term, for the market next summer. Questions?
I just have one comment. I don't know how many people were out at the market this past Sunday, but parking was extremely tight. So even on, by our best estimates, this parking expansion is gravely needed for this location. We have a great problem to have, an expanding market. and so we very much want to meet the needs of the public in this area. And so I think it's prudent to look at how much expansion we can achieve at this site.
Yeah, it is a nice problem to have. As part of that school expansion, we also expect that they will be installing turf fields out there, which will likely increase the number of tournaments and other athletic activities, some of which will be on Sundays, no doubt. And we are looking at this. No decisions have been made yet, but we will be looking at making permanent potentially if we simply can't use the parking, if the fields are so used for other youth activities that there isn't parking available at the high school, we may have to look at a new location. And of course, that might well coincide with a possible community center location out there at Buckland Park. So one of the things we're doing as part of this wetland delineation, we had some preliminary concept plans as to where parking should go out there. We're going to try as much as possible to match those. So any parking that may ultimately go in would be usable both by the farmers market and by a potential community center out there. So a lot of moving parts. This is a small contract, but there are a lot of moving parts here.
Bill,
Chris, will you start?
Robin, do you have a sense of how many parking spots we'll have out there at the Winters Farmers Market compared to what we've got now? Because there's a lot, I believe there's going to be a lot more cars going out there given the additional distance, because a lot of people walk to that market.
A lot of people walk. There's no question there will be more. There'll be fewer. I think there will likely be fewer people walking to that location, although who knows?
Brickyard Trail.
Brickyard Trail is a great
drops folks right off
pathway.
there,
Yeah.
and the Route 12 also drops you there.
Yeah, but we had, I'm going to guess, over 300 cars in the lot. You know, we've had an agreement with the 12 Corners Presbyterian to use their lot. The church itself is at the south end of the building, well away from the market, so people have been able, thanks to their generosity in working with us, they've been able to park in the north end of the church parking lot, which will become part of the school parking lot. But if this Sunday's any indication, of course, we did have the bike rodeo, but we have special events at many markets, and the school athletic events, lacrosse tournaments and the like, can draw even more. So we're going to have to very significantly, and of course, the summer market in general brings more people than the winter market. So we're going to have to lay a good amount of gravel to, we haven't made a final delineation of how many spaces we're going to need, but there's no question we'll have to double, maybe triple the spaces. There's in the range of 100 spaces that are available for market customers now after handicap and vendor spaces. There's about 100 in that general
Paved area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And to my surprise, people were parking as far afield as the admin building, the 12 Corners Middle School parking lot as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Right now,
was
This
well
past
occupied
Sunday.
as well.
This
Yeah.
past Sunday was
Yeah.
very, very busy. Yeah. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that?
Only to add that this is now the time for us to be thinking about bicycle amenities at the market and finishing out the proposed bike boulevard that will also encourage folks to get over there. on 2 wheels instead of 4.
Yep, and that'll be coming in later this year. Yeah. Okay. Calling the roll. Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman.
Aye.
Supervisor Maley. Aye. Robin, the next matter, please.
Certainly, the next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to execute a fee agreement with Interpretech for the provision of American Sign Language services. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
Thank you, Interpretech. We've been very, very happy with the work that Interpretech does for us and for the deaf and hard of hearing members of the community. This will increase their hourly fee by $4 an hour. Christine, you seconded that, am I right? Thank you. As I said, multitasking here. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the roll. Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman.
Aye.
Supervisor Maley. Aye. Nate, the next matter.
The next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to amend an agreement with Suzanne Zasso for the provision of financial consulting services by extending the term by 6 months, ending December 31st, 2024. I move that we approve the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second?
Suzanne, of course, was our deputy finance director before her retirement last year, and we've been working with her and continuing to tap her memory and her expertise. So, Earl, anything you want to add on this?
I think that she will be also helping to update the employee handbook.
Employee handbook,
which
yes, exactly.
she's made a lot of notes on, but I know that Tricia wants to have her expertise for that project.
Yep. Great. Any discussion on that extension, 6-month extension? Hearing none, I will call the roll. Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman.
Aye.
Supervisor Maley. Aye. Nate.
The next matter seeks to amend the budget by increasing the revenue and expense in the Highway Department to reflect an unanticipated increase in the New York State transportation funding in the amount of $39,601.36. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second?
And this is what Nate spoke of in his Finance Committee report, the additional revenue coming from the state on some of their highway-related funding matters. Very important as costs of things like asphalt continue to go up. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, I will call the roll. Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman.
Aye.
Supervisor Maley. Aye. Christine.
The next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to execute an easement agreement for sidewalk construction on Winton Road as part of the incentive zoning approval for the Jewish Senior Life Project. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
As referenced, this relates to the commitment by Jewish Senior Life as part of the incentive zoning approval for the expansion of that project to grant an easement with Brighton Volunteer Ambulance, the frontage of BVA along both Westfall and Winton Road, which Jewish Senior Life will be funding sidewalks. Between that project and the Topgolf project, we expect to complete sidewalks from not only from the diverging diamond down to Westfall Road on Winton, but then along Westfall Road in front of Buckland Park to where the sidewalks currently exist. As Christine said, to build out more of that active transportation infrastructure that we keep working on. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, I'll call the roll. Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman.
Aye.
Supervisor Maley. Aye. Nate, the last item of new business.
The next matter seeks to approve application for designation as a pro-housing community. I move that we approve the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Can I have a
Second.
Thank you. This resolution is based on an executive order issued by Governor Hochul. Through that order, she established the New York State Pro-Housing Communities Program. You may recall 22, there was a housing proposal that was very much top-down. The proposal was to demand that municipalities build a certain amount of housing. And what sometimes is forgotten is that we don't build houses. We are part of the approval process. Some of our policies, like incentive zoning, which the town of Brighton has embraced, can be used to facilitate housing. But we don't build, towns don't generally build housing. This program, the Pro Housing Communities Program, is a certification program to support housing growth, reflecting that there are housing shortages throughout the state of New York. There are really two paths you can go. One is to show that you have had a certain number of housing units built in your town, either over the last year or the last 3 years, or the adoption of a resolution, such as the one that we have here tonight, memorializing the commitment of the community to take the necessary actions, again, like incentive zoning, like looking at zoning changes as we've talked about and are going to be moving forward with along Monroe Avenue to promote mixed-use types of properties. There are many things that can be done and that the town will continue to look at to promote housing development here in the town of Brighton. So that's what this resolution is designed to do. It is designed to further housing goals for us. But here's the incentive part. Some of the state grant programs require that you be a pro-housing community for eligibility or for points in terms of getting those grants. So it's in our self-interest in that regard, but it's in our self-interest in building a better Brighton community. So that's what we will be doing. We will also have to submit to the state various data concerning our zoning code, building permits, and the like as specified in that executive order. So this is the first step in doing that, and as you see in my letter, it's my recommendation that we move forward. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I just wanted to say that I am proud that we are taking this step towards addressing the housing crisis and, making sure our community is part of the solution as opposed to part of the problem. As you said, Bill, we are looking at zoning improvements through the grant funding available from the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grant that we sought from the federal government, and this can only help us open other avenues and grant opportunities. So thank you for.
Great. Any other comments? Hearing none, we'll call the roll on this motion. Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman.
Aye.
Supervisor Maley. Aye. I'm going to get a stiff neck here. Matters of the supervisor. Before the town board meeting tonight, I was downstairs with Chief Cathaldi and about 8 members of the community who completed the 2024 edition of the Citizens Police Academy. I can only imagine how strong the comment sheets will be, because they're extemporaneous words as we held the graduation ceremony spoke to how valuable they felt the Citizens Police Academy was. I'm glad for our community members, it's so gratifying to hear that they enjoyed, because this is so much more than the Brighton Police Department. They got to know Sergeant Rebecca Halpin, who ran the program, but they got to know a number of other members of the department, including Chief Cathaldi. but they work with other agencies in town. They had the opportunity to engage with some of the other law enforcement. They toured the jail, engaged with the public defender's office, and the canine. So an awful lot of exposure to the criminal justice system in the area. And they really had great things to say about how valuable the program was, including a couple of people who had taken it during the pandemic when we were sort of handcuffed in terms of some of the activities. You know, we weren't doing tours of the jail during the pandemic. So they came back and took it again, and that was great to see. So thank you, Chief, and thanks to everybody in the department that made it possible for us to do the Police Academy again. I really encourage people to sign up when we hold the next one. I don't know that we have dates yet for the next time we're going to be doing it, but just feels like a great program, and again, consistent with the philosophy of community policing that underlies so much of what the Brighton Police Department does and is such an important part of why the Brighton Police Department is the best police department in upstate New York. Just a reminder, a couple of our Juneteenth events coming up again. This Friday, June 14th, right here in Town Hall at noon. And I anticipate, weather permitting, we'll be right outside on the front steps and on the front sidewalk here. We'll be raising the really striking Juneteenth flag, but also honoring one of Rochester's great citizens, Dr. Walter Cooper. And then on Sunday, we will have a cultural celebration of Juneteenth at the Farmers Market in the Brighton High School parking lot. Matters of the Town Attorney, John?
Thank you, Supervisor. Nothing to report, but I would request a executive session for an item leading to the employment of a particular person.
Very good, we'll do that. The town clerk is not here. Matters of the Town Board. Then can I have a motion to go into executive session to discuss the employment of a particular person?
Bill, I move that we go into executive session to discuss the employment of a particular person.
Second?
Councilmember Warner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Councilmember Salzman?
Aye.
Supervisor Mailey? Aye. I do not anticipate that we'll be coming back out into open session after the executive session, so appreciate again our ASL interpreters, and we will see you at our next meeting in 2 weeks, June 26th at 7 p.m. Have a great evening, everyone.